All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the H&M Sports Academy. I am Mo, and this is Harry.
Yeah, um,
Welcome to the Academy. We are here tonight on a Monday night to wrap up
yeah,
the week 6 of the NFL season. Another exciting week in the NFL as we move along. The weeks are flying by, friend, and so here we are. And at one minute we're in uh, training camp and OTAs, and we're like, man, when is it coming? And next thing you know, we're in week 6. We already passed it. You've already had your bye. The
yep,
Chicago Bears have, and we are here today to basically recap this weekend's big games. We had 2 games to cover this weekend between the Dallas Cowboys, who travel on the road to Carolina and play the Carolina Panthers. The Cowboys fall to the Panthers 27-30. Nail biter, a tough game.
mhm.
Lots to unpack there, lots to unpack. And, I'm trying to be upbeat about it, but it hurt. It
Yeah,
hurt for sure.
that was a tough loss.
It was a tough one. It was tough for me, man. I thought about skipping work to go to some counseling this morning, but I had to
Yeah,
go. I had to go. Got to make a few dollars too. So I decided not to do that. But I'm here today. We're gonna talk about this game. We're gonna unpack it. We're gonna break it down. And then our second game was definitely a thriller. We're talking
Woo.
about Chicago Bears trying to avenge
Yeah,
last year's Hail Mary loss, going
hmm,
back to the scene of the crime into Washington, the DMV area. The Washington Commanders fighting hard, and the Chicago Bears do exactly what they came into town to do, and they rip the hearts out of the
love it.
Washington Commanders
I
in the
love it.
same fashion. Walk
Yeah,
off field goal with a backup kicker,
hmm,
25-24, made a ton of mistakes, tried to give it away, and
yeah.
still snatched victory
I,
from the Bills and beat. So I'm
man,
excited, man. I'm excited to
I'm
cover these
excited.
games.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And man, when we would, what a great, two ball games. I know you guys, obviously your loss was tough. But it came right down to a kick, and then this Bears game, came right down to a kick. So two very exciting football games,
For sure.
just on two ends of the spectrum, right? One, your brother. I'm heartbroken for you because I felt like that was a game, that you guys should have won, and then we go in and probably won a game that we probably shouldn't have, right? So the NFL
Yeah.
is fickle that way. It
Yeah.
probably all evens out in the end when you look at over the
Yeah.
course of 17 games, you land where you're supposed to land. But in the moment, like you said, it hurts. It
Yeah.
stings. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So let's go ahead
So
and get
yeah,
started, man.
yeah, let's crank this thing up here. I'm gonna get into the. We're gonna recap the boys and the Panthers first. Lots
Yeah.
to unpack there. Getting into this game, and as we get to do so, one of the things that we'll do here is we'll talk about the different units. We'll talk about how they played, some of the things that were going into this game. And I think when you looked into this game, you looked at the Panthers coming off of a win, Cowboys coming off of a win, and
Mm-hmm.
and both teams kind of looking to try to take another step here in the right direction, get to
Right.
500, above 500, etc. But then there's a little bit of a backdrop because Rico Dowdle, who was an
Mm.
ex-Cowboy, played for the Cowboys for 5 years. And Dallas really liked Rico, but when it came down to it, we thought that his market was going to be stronger than what it is. And I don't think the Cowboys really tried to compete to keep him. They thought
No.
that he would take the money and go elsewhere. And he ended up signing with the Carolina Panthers, which was nice for him because he's a Carolina guy. That's where he's from, his hometown.
Yeah.
He grew up in
UNC.
that
Mm-hmm.
state. That's right. And so for him, it was good for him to go back. But he's always been one of those guys that have a chip on the shoulder. So going to the game, he's telling the Cowboys, "Buckle up. I'm a violent runner. Here I come." And the Cowboys is trying to downplay it and trying to take the high road a little bit. But it's like, we heard you, Rico. We know what you are. So you go into this game, and if I'm going into this game, I'm thinking the Cowboys are saying, look, I don't care if you gotta put 15 men on the field. I don't care how you
Right.
do it.
Yeah.
You're not letting Dowdle beat you. You're not going to do it. You're not going to let him beat you.
Yeah. And that was so
And
that was so surprising to me. And when we did the preview, we talked
yeah,
about how they ran a ball against the Dolphins and how
that's
they
right.
Dallas really stuck
And
to
they
that
didn't
run,
give up on the run.
and they didn't give up on the run. So even when you look at just how could they score, I
Yeah,
couldn't see many ways beyond them scoring unless they had that powerful of a running game, and to see them
yeah.
be able to execute it. I know that had to be disappointing for you,
It was
because
definitely disappointing.
not only did we see it coming, you had a guy
Yeah,
who called his shot, early in the week, and I don't,
yeah,
is it talking trash? Is it him, just speaking his mind? Either way, like you
yeah,
said, he put himself on the radar and in the
yeah.
crosshairs. So, maybe that worked against you guys. You guys might have been too amped up a little bit and
Maybe.
ended up, ended up not being able to. It wasn't even just stop and run. It was him receiving too. He was all over the field. It was just a overall great
And
game.
it was kind of a one trick pony. We'll get into it, but the bottom line is that there was opportunities for the Cowboys in this game.
Mhm.
We'll certainly get into the different units and how they performed and so forth. But the Cowboys had opportunities. They definitely left some things out there on the field. But when it was all said and done, the most
Right.
basic thing that you want to be able to do in a game of football is what we did from Pop Warner on. Is that you can
Mhm.
take the football and take the snap from the center, and the quarterback takes it and hands it off to the back, and he
Right.
can get positive yardage. You will never stop doing that if you cannot stop it. If you cannot
Right.
stop it, you
Yeah.
never have to. It's the safest thing to do. It's the most
Mhm.
secure thing to do. It's the most demoralizing thing to do.
Yeah.
And if you can't stop it, there really isn't much of an answer for you. So that was
Well,
very, very
why
disheartening.
do anything else, right? And
Right.
sometimes when you in football, it's a highly complex game, and you hear all these 30-word play calls and
Yep.
different packages. And
Yep.
to your point, sometimes it's just as simple as handing it off, getting that snap from your center to quarterback,
Yep.
giving it to that running back, and
Yeah.
letting the offensive line do its thing, and make somebody stop what you're doing.
Yeah. So that's what we have. Kind of a precursor going into this game. So
Mm-hmm.
let's jump into it. Okay, let's kick this thing off and get into the nuts and bolts here of this game.
Yeah.
When you look at Harry, when you look at the Panthers offense,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and you're going up against the Dallas Cowboys defense, talk to me a little bit about what you saw versus what we thought we would see in this game. Just kind of give me an idea of what you saw versus what you thought we would see previously as we previewed the game.
Yeah. First of all, big apologies to Rico Dowdle. I'm gonna say his name correctly, Dowdle. Last year I was
Mm-hmm.
calling the man Dowdy, and kind of
Mm-hmm.
making jokes I hadn't even heard of him. But
Yep.
I think what I saw just schematically was Carolina came out and they were extremely what I call condensed formations, buttoned up, and they came out to
Mm-hmm.
establish the run. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were conservative with the play call, and it wasn't a lot of attacking you guys downfield.
Mm-hmm.
They really decided to make it a man-o game and play a little smash mouth football to
Mm-hmm.
see if they can establish the run, and boy did they. Rico and that offensive line, they actually, I thought they were limping in with the offensive line. They had an injury to the right tackle who didn't play, and a couple other injuries to the offensive linemen coming into the game, and we knew, what we kind of projected and forecasted to be a successful equation for them offensively, and it was pretty vanilla, and Jack was a Sanborn not being in the game.
That ended up being a bigger deal than we thought in this
It
type
really,
of Yeah, in this type of game because
Hmm.
the style that he plays, the way the way that he can defend under certain types of offenses
Hmm.
would have fit a little bit better for this type of game. That was totally underrated, I think, and that was understated for sure as far as this game. Another injury that really reared his head throughout the course of the game.
Big time. And it was a short neck game, right? So you got last week we talked about against the Jets. You know, you guys got to implement some speed with some of the
Mm,
guys who stepped in to replace them off that wide zone scheme, right? So the
hmm.
Jets, they trying to get you, you know, moving left and right. Where I felt like
Yeah,
Carolina was like, "Hey, we coming right at you." And I think
yeah,
Sanborn in that type of game
yep.
would have fit nicely, just because one formation identification and being able to snuff out some of those runs to
Yep.
instead of giving up 5 or 6, I think they might get 2, 3.
Mm,
And they ended up being able to getting a lot of short downs and distances. And we talked about, you know, Bryce being what we call comfortable in those situations, right? He's able to play action and find what I call easy completions. And Dave Canales coming from Tampa Bay 2 years ago. It's one of the things he did for Baker, I thought, in that offense, and why Carolina really liked him. He's a play caller that once he finds something that's working, he leaning into it, right? So he
hmm.
probably had a script of, you know, what I call his meat and potatoes, and
Yeah.
he looked and he's like, nah, we're gonna run it and run it and run it and run it and keep us what I call, you know, we talked about limiting those possessions, right? So it
Hmm.
ended up being, like I said, a short neck game. He's limited possessions, and now you're giving Bryce Young, and those games make you a little bit anxious, right? So you look at it, we'll go by quarter, but you know, you played in games and we played in games. Hell, we came from a system at the Naval Academy where we do the exact same thing. You see
Yep.
5, 4, 3, first down, 2,
Hmm.
7, 1, first down,
Hmm.
16, 3. As a
Hmm.
defensive player, you start looking around like, man, I'm trying to make a play, right? And
Yeah.
as soon as you know, get outside of yourself, they come in and they hit you with a little something behind you. So Bryce Young, 17 to 25, 199 yards. You
3
guys actually got
touchdowns.
a pick on him, 3 touchdowns. That's
Yep.
way too much to give up to him
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have the day that Rico had, right? You can't
Yeah.
give 2. Sometimes it's a bucket, sometimes it's a thimble. You guys had 2 buckets, right? You had
Yeah.
Bryce have a huge day, and you had Rico Dowdle have a huge day.
Yep.
And I think some of the things that Dave did do is he took his shots, right? So
Hmm.
in the red zone, he snuck. You know, I thought it was a really good play call.
It was a
Where
good play call.
it's a really good play call. He ended up, I think Wilson. You know, Wilson likes to sniff around that line. It wasn't even a line of scrimmage. He was really trying to stop
Yep.
a first down or a touchdown at the time, and ended up getting McMillan, one of your favorite draft picks. I know you miss him, but he sneaks
Yeah.
behind him and catches his first touchdown. And I thought that was just a really, and the commentators talked about it. They were like, yeah, that's how you draw it up in the red zone in practice.
Yeah.
And you tell that safety, hey, come down and bite. Like it was the
Hmm.
perfect situation. And that was a great play call. But overall, really, you know, Rico called his shot. Rico Dowdle. I'll say his name. I respect him.
Yeah.
Next to the Dow Jones right now, Rico, when you put DOW in Google,
It's
Rico is
that going
popping
on.
up. And
Yeah.
he talked a little bit, you know, around the, hey, they didn't buckle up.
Yeah.
Tip your hat in a way, but I think you also walk away from it looking at that. And we'll get into Flus, but hey,
Yeah.
Flus, what the hell? Like, you know.
Yeah, man. You know that gives a nice recap there with the Panthers offense and what they were doing. You know, and all I can say is they come off of that Miami game having success, and they didn't have to give up on the running game when they were down 17 points. And
Mm-hmm.
so if they're down 17 points and they don't give in on the run game, then
Right.
why do they think they would give in on the run game when it's basically a one-score game the entire way? There was
Right.
never a threat for the Cowboys to pull away, and they were very comfortable and just
Mm-hmm.
secure to just Let's just keep handing it off. Let's just keep it. As you say, you never go broke taking a profit. Let's get
Right.
7 yards. And they continue to do that and stay on schedule, which is just a depth now. But that's the only way that Bryce Young right now can beat you is if he's on schedule and
Mm-hmm.
he's got manageable down and distances, and we just kept them in that the entire time. We're looking
They
at
stayed
Dallas
attached. Yeah, they stayed
huh?
attached too with the score, right?
With the score,
And
yeah,
and you talk about I felt like that game went by extremely quick. I
it
looked at it in
did
the first
for
half was
for
a
the
little.
amount of points
Yeah.
scored
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. If you just look at the way it just flew, it just kind of went through.
Yeah.
It was a high penalty game, so that kind of made it a little bit janky, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
disjointed a little bit. But at the same time, the game just kind of flew because there was so many running plays, so much offense, and even when the Cowboys were on offense, we'll get to that in a second. But when they were on
Mm-hmm.
offense, they moved the ball with pretty good precision. So there wasn't a whole bunch of hey stall kick, stall punt. I mean, these were
Right.
drives that were turning into points left and right. As you can tell, 30-27 was the final score. So,
Right.
um, it's just an excellent kind of recap when you're talking about the Panthers offense, the things that they had going with Dowdle, and really it was a one-trick pony to a certain extent with him. They brought in Horn a little bit, the young rookie from Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And when you bought him, man, you start getting him active. It's just like, I don't know what it is about the
Yeah.
Cowboys defense, but the damn rookies somehow find their footing when we come to town. You know, uh,
Right.
when we played Chicago, what was
Mm-hmm.
your rookie wide receiver looking like going into that game?
Yeah, Luther, nothing. He was quiet, maybe
Absolutely
catch.
nothing for Luther Burden. He hadn't done anything. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? He hadn't done anything. And all of a
Right.
sudden, boom, explosion, 100 yards, touchdown. And now here comes Tedero McMillan, a
Mm-hmm.
rookie who's having a good year, but he had scored. And now he
Right.
gets in the end zone twice. Then
Yeah.
Horn gets
Started
gets
off with a
going.
drop too. I think he had a drop early in the game to kind of, I thought he was going to be a little shaky, and he ended up,
Oh,
um,
the drop was how the Donovan Wilson got the interception because it tipped off of his hand.
yeah, yeah. So he
So
started off a little shaky too. Yeah.
yeah, so just a weird game in that sense because the Cowboys defense forced one turnover, and they forced two, but they only recovered one. There
Right.
was a punch out of Rico Dowdle, and that was done by Donovan Ezaraku,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow the Panthers were able to fall on top of it and keep it. And that was one of those plays that kind of kept them in track and put them behind schedule as far as that. But the Cowboys certainly could have used that field position if they had gotten a turnover.
Yeah.
So they're
Actually,
basically
Xavier Leggett fumbled too. It looks like,
yeah,
and got that one back. So that was actually two opportunities that oblong ball, man, just kind of not bouncing
yeah.
your way, right?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We look at the Cowboys defense. Very, very disappointing. You had some
Yeah.
injuries. We talked about Jack Sanborn. You talked about the injury to obviously Malik Hooker at the safety point. You have Wanya Thomas there. And this was a situation where the injury to Jack Sanborn does two things. Number one, it puts Shamar James, a rookie, into the game, which is exciting because he's an explosive player. He seems to be a pretty good tackler, and he
Mhm.
seems to pick up the the flow of the defense well. But he's still a rookie and makes mistakes. It means that Morris Leopold is going to play a lot more often. He's also an explosive player, but he sometimes is out of position. And then the
Yeah.
other thing is because Kenneth Murray was a seasoned linebacker that was left, he ends up having to go to the middle and he gets the green dot. But that's not where he normally plays.
Yeah. Out of
So you
position.
got two rookies, now not a second year guy, a rookie, and then a middle linebacker who doesn't normally play in that position. And
Mhm.
that's your backdrop for having to stop Rico Dowdle whenever your defensive linemen are doing their job to fill in the gaps. The linebackers are supposed to be able to come in downhill and take those blockers off of the defensive tackles and allow them to get to the ball, and it just didn't happen. And that's where the nuts and bolts were, because there is no excuse for giving up 7 yards almost every time on first down on a running play when it's predictable.
No.
And so it only boils down to execution. And when you don't, if you don't watch the front seven on a defense, then a lot of it just looks like a big pile of bodies and just massive humans moving. But the reality is there are responsibilities and things that you have to do both on offense and defense. And sometimes it seems messy, but there are specific jobs that you need to do to make a difference between the running back getting a clean look and a clean hole versus being basically stuffed at the line of scrimmage. And the Cowboys were very much out of sync. I don't know if you want to blame that on the coaching. We'll get to that. If you want to blame it on the players, there's probably a little bit of everything there. But that's what we had with the defense. I don't even think that the secondary was bad in a sense that they didn't get eaten up back there. But the bottom line is your eye discipline is very, very uneven when you're getting run on downhill.
Yeah.
And that's where like that play.
No, go ahead. I'll say finish your thought. I'm gonna throw up a graphic here while you're speaking.
Okay.
But just kind of piggyback on what you're saying, and I know I hate doing steals because people use steals with quarterbacks, and you miss this receiver and you miss that person.
Connected.
Steals sometimes often don't tell a total story. But this picture here, and I know I'm breaking your heart. These type of holes in the NFL cannot happen. I don't know what the call was or what the defensive, when you talk about playing sound football, I could run through this hole right now. You could run through these holes right now. So a lot of Rico's run, when you talk about he wasn't touched for the first 3-4 yards. I'm very familiar with Flus. I'm very familiar with his philosophy and style, and he has to shift some things and change some things. When he's playing in these types of games. Because at the end of the day, you can't have these type of running. But from my perspective, it's frustrating, I'm sure, for you when you're not able to shut down the run, and you're not seeing those adjustments being made up front to take a few chances, and you got to dial up a few run blitzes, right? Sometimes the offense gets rolling and your defensive coordinator needs to adjust a little bit, and it could be the newness of the system. It could be he doesn't trust it yet fully to really be able to make those, what I call in-game adjustments. And like you said, you had some guys out of position. So not an excuse, just the reality. Some of the calls he might have normally made with Jack Sanborn and Murray and everybody in the right positions, you can have those type of what I call instant adjustments to do some different things. But in this situation, I think Flus stayed more vanilla up front. He didn't stunt and slant and really do anything to get Carolina off that, that rhythm that they had running the football. And that the 4 down linemen and that power scheme, they got up to that second level of your backers, and it was an issue all day, completely.
All day. Yeah, man. And I think you said it best. There's going to have to be a better marrying here between where Flus is with how he calls this, and then the belief of the players, the buy-in of the players to be able to execute it at the right level. So we'll certainly get into the coaching here, but the defense was just disappointing because they took some steps in the right direction, and then took those steps backwards here in this game. And the injuries matter. I think do think they matter. I think that Sanborn made a difference. I do think that not having the players in normal positions that they were in made a difference. But I didn't like the pass rush. I didn't think that there was enough of it. I didn't think that there was enough pressure there on Bryce Young. A couple of times they got close to getting to him, but you got to get off the field in those situations. So definitely a down check.
Yeah, you know what I thought about too, man.
Yeah.
Who's your leader on the defense? Like who's the guy? And we've been there before when you're going through, certain situations in a game where it's not going your way, and you need someone to kind of just organize you, calm you down, whatever that might be. I think the youth is showing a little bit on that defensive side of the football. Normally you got Micah back there. Normally you had Diggs' voice was strong. You had a bunch of what I call vets that could play in that role. I think that might be the missing piece for you guys too. Not only is it a new system, you got some injuries, but you also, with that youth comes the lack of leadership to get guys to not feel sorry for themselves, right? And I did feel that in that game. The defense started to feel a little woe is me. And I know you've been there when it's not going your way. As offensive guys, you hear a play call and you're like, you don't even believe it's gonna work as soon as you hear it. And when and best believe when you go execute it, it looks just like how you feel, right?
And especially at that level when the margin for error is so small, and literally it takes everything you got on every play to execute and make it happen, right? And so anytime you have any type of dissension, any type of second guessing, then it's going to have an effect. And so that has to be taken out of the equation for sure, going into the next week and so forth. And so that's that was a big crux of the game, the way the Panthers offense was able to just stay on schedule and really stay with the Cowboys offense. So we looked at the Cowboys offense, so exciting, man, and almost frustrating when you look at the way Dak Prescott is playing right now. You're talking about putting up career type numbers, MVP type numbers, and you have George Pickens, who is playing for a contract, and it looks like it, man. The guy is just doing amazing things out there. He's got more touchdowns now than he had in the entire season last year in Pittsburgh. And this is with CeeDee Lamb out. Just an explosive player, crossing routes, comeback routes. They really didn't have an answer for him. But I got to say that the Panthers said, we're going to have to live with something. And what they decided to do was they were not going to let the Cowboys run the ball. And so the two things that you have to have is winning at the line of scrimmage. Right. So the Panthers offense obviously had their way with the Cowboys defense at the line of scrimmage. And I think they came in and said, we're going to make sure that when we're on defense, we try to do the same thing and make this team one-dimensional. And, the Cowboys got a lot of credit for the game before against the Jets, playing with 4 backups, 4 secondary guys because of the injuries. You get one of those back, you get Guyton back. But the bottom line is you still have, second team guys that are playing and getting heavy minutes. And this is the game when it started to show, because Brock Hoffman and TJ Bass just could not hold their water when it came to the running game. There's a lot of pin and pull. There's a lot of pulling. There's a lot of traps that Clayton Adams like to do with his defense. In order to do that, you have to be able to get down the line. You can't have disruptions. You got to be able to stay on track. And when you have your front just disrupted, and the middle of your defense, the middle of your offensive line is getting walked back into the quarterback, into the running back, it just disrupts everything. Okay.
Yeah, and that's a great point by you. And we talked about the the no-name defense of sorts, right? Outside
Yeah.
of Horn and Jackson, there's not much there. I think I know Carolina's defensive coordinator and their staff knew that as well, and they went in with a game plan, and it's counterintuitive because as a coach, this is a game where Carolina said, you know what, we're gonna run the football, right? Be damned, we're gonna run it right at you. This is a game where the Cowboys almost had to say, be damned, we're gonna throw it all over the field, right?
Right.
And Shoddy, I don't think he called a terrible game at all. I think he tried to incorporate and keep some balance. And they literally was selling out. To your point, it was either feast or famine. They either stopped the run or they gave up a huge reception to you guys. Maybe this is one of those games, and sometimes games get out of, you don't want to get out of character as a play caller. I've been there. You kind of looking and you want to keep, some semblance of what I call balance in between your run game and your pass game marriage. You don't want to get too far tilted in one direction. And Pickens looked like a stud, man. He's flying over people, jumping over people.
That's right.
9 receptions for 168 and 1 touchdown off 11 targets. So that's a 80, 88, 89, percent completion percentage when you win his way. And then you look at Dak, and again, another great day, 25 or 34 for 261. 3 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks. Right?
That's a winning stat line. Every time it's supposed to be a winning stat line.
Right. Quarterback rating of 124, and the difference in the game was just, I think, 2 opportunistic stops. I think the first drive of the game they got to stop, and I think in that either that third or late in the third or early in the fourth they got another stop, and got you guys off the field. And the rest, we'll talk about the last drive of the game. You guys ran out of damn touches. You just didn't touch the ball again. I think if you guys had some time to touch the ball again, you go win that game, right?
Yeah.
This was a game where they came in defensively, and just like you said, they said, we'll give up the pass and hope that our 2 best guys on defense can hold their water, which was Jackson and Horn. And they didn't, but they did just enough to, get the ball in the end zone to where that damn game plan was able to be sustainable over 4 quarters, right? Normally, you guys would have got them out of that earlier and would have forced them to take a little bit more, what I call, instead of having all that, that heavy run defense, you would have caused them, because they're like, damn, man, this shit is about to get out of control at a certain point, because they're going to blow us out of the water. But because they stayed attached, they were like, man, it's working. We're just going to keep doing it. And I think you guys just, ultimately, it's one of those games that sucks. You ran out of time and you didn't get your final touch that you normally would get had you gotten off the field.
No doubt about it. And I couldn't have said it better myself. When you look at the way the Panthers decided to go about it, you didn't have a whole bunch of stars, but you had some heavy hitters as far as physical guys, physical up front. Derek Brown's physical, for the Panthers, and they decided that they were going to make sure that they try to control the run game. And so Shoddy is trying to keep a semblance of balance, and he's probably trying to protect the defense. He's probably saying, look, man, let's just put together a nice drive, control this game, let's wear these guys down, punch it in the clock in the end zone, and keep our defense off the field and put a little bit of pressure on them. And instead, the pressure kind of flipped back onto Dak Prescott to have to complete the ball, to have to get out of down the distances, to change.
Yeah, that piece in itself was rough because of the overall, ability for them to stop the run, right? So you got 1.6 a carry, which is insane when you really think about the reality of trying to run against their defense. I never would have thought that. So we lost Mo for a little bit. So I'll go ahead and kind of just talk through Dak and his performance and how well I think he's been playing. And when I look at the ability of him to carry the team, it was amazing. I think next to, Baker Mayfield, this is a situation where he's playing great football, and he was able to, keep things afloat and keep you guys in the game. And from that perspective, he didn't have Turpin, he didn't have CD, but with George Pickens and, Flournoy being able to play, I thought that was some of his best work. Overall question around, this offense is, can Dak, truly keep this thing together while CD is out and while Turpin is out, and continue to keep things in a way where I feel like, we're in a space where the Cowboys can survive this little rough patch with the injuries. My big concern around, sorry, I was just talking a little bit about Dak while you dropped off a little bit. His ability to kind of keep this thing together while you guys are going through this injury gap and like I say, the lack of continuity on offense. This is one of those games where I thought he put his best foot forward to give you a win. And this is where you need your defense to come in and step in and help a little bit, right? And you put 27 on the board. That should be enough to win versus a Carolina team. Mm-hmm. And, it sucks a little bit, I was saying, because when you look at who's playing the best football at quarterback, I would say next to Baker Mayfield, I would throw Dak up there, right? I was driving to work today and I heard Drake May and I about threw up. For some reason, all of a sudden, this kid is turned into, they're trying to make him the next Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. And I watched him play, and I'll get into that another day because I'm already sensitive about, and I want your boy Troy Aikman, the way he talked about Caleb. I said I don't even know if the kid can do anything right. He was killing him from the jump, and Dak, I felt like kept you guys afloat in that game, and
no doubt
at the very core, their defense and what they were trying to do was putting it in his hands, and he responded, and they're at home, you get some momentum plays from their offense, like you said, and ultimately, 1.6 yards a carry, that ain't gonna get it. So you end up with Shoddy doing exactly what you said. He's like, look, I'm trying to give my defense a little bit of rest because he's watching them, on these drives. He can tell by the body language. He's smart. He can see the film, and they bringing him the iPad to see everything. And he's like, man, I need to protect them a little bit. So I think he ran the ball and ran the offense methodically, right? You guys didn't take a lot of huge shots downfield. Again, the scheme I thought was meant to make it a one possession game, and he just never got his last possession.
Tough, man. Very tough, because you kind of said it all, and I think he wanted to try to run the ball to protect the defense. He wanted to try to be able to stay on balance to protect the defense and control the game. And and even in these games that we tied or lost in, the offense was able to do that. So this is really one of the first games where the Cowboys couldn't really impose their will with both units. Right. And I give the Carolina Panthers a lot of credit because they sold out to stop the run. And it seemed like it wasn't really working because of the way that Dak Prescott is, and he can beat you passing. Like, this is something he can do now. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to do that, and then you're going to also surrender the running game on the other side of defense when you're on defense, and now it's starting to become a house of cards. It's very, very close, and all of a sudden they got a formula, you got a formula, and it's kind of down to a possession when it boils down to it. So, and that's really what happened. On the special teams note, a couple of field goals for both teams. So obviously
Yeah,
the
that was really a
Panthers
push.
won the game on the field goal.
Yeah, that was really a push. Carolina,
Yeah,
Fitzgerald 3 for 3. He hit a long of 55, which was I thought a really big kick. And then your boy Brandon Aubrey with the smoothest swing or kick or whatever it is. He was just automatic. So he was 2 for 2. And then the punting. There was only 5 punts total. It wasn't a whole lot of lost possessions.
yeah.
So
No,
47 versus a 49 average in favor of Carolina. So that was, I think, the special team was almost a push to me.
and both teams were able to use the kickoff to their advantage on a few different notes. I will say I'll give Dallas a down check on the kick return because with Jaden Blue back there, he looked very inexperienced. There's this thing where if you can get that kick to hit in the landing zone and you don't get a return and you take that down, then you automatically start at the 20-yard line. And Aubrey had Carolina pinned down at the 20 a couple of times after scoring. So that was nice. But the problem is that Jaden Blue had issues with the fielding side. And so Carolina had the Cowboys also starting at the 20 a few times as well. And so even with that strategy, which is a straight strategy, you got to have a really obviously accurate and precise kicker to be able to pin someone down to the 20 these days. But like you said, that was pretty much a push. So special teams was there. Nothing really to sneeze at there.
Yeah, quick question on Blue, man. He needs a year in the weight room. I look at some of these rookie running backs that come in, and he's one where he's always been the fastest, most athletic guy probably throughout his career. And there was a couple of runs you guys tried to let him touch the rock a little bit. And I saw him get tackled, and he didn't do anything wrong. I just saw the way he got tackled, and I'm like, he needs
no resistance.
No resistance, right? It was very. I don't know how he can help in the run game. I think he can be more effective in the pass game for you guys, right? But that's also a tell, right? If every time you come in the game, you're mostly running the ball. I mean, as a pass catcher as opposed to a runner. I think we thought we'd see more Jaden, right? In the preview, we talked about him, stepping in because you guys had with Sanders going out. And I think Shotty saw that instantly, and he's like, ugh, 3 carries. I thought he'd be up around 5 to 10, maybe with Sanders out. And maybe he's coming off, I think, an ankle sprain. Was it ankle sprain for him?
Yeah, he was out a little bit with that, but I mean that was in camp. I don't think that was an issue at the first couple of games when he was out. That was more so because they just didn't see enough from him as far as execution, as far as knowledge of the offense and so forth to be able to have a roster spot. Every roster spot is critical, and so they just didn't have a spot for him. I think
he just didn't look as explosive. He just didn't look as explosive to me. Right.
And that's what happens when you get to the NFL and everyone's so precise with what they do and they come off with such veracity. It's hard to look explosive. And so the thing is I see him, if he can get to the edge, maybe on a jet motion,
right?
Okay, then there's some opportunity there. And then, like you said, in the pass game, but really, he doesn't even look that fast because he's bouncing it in, bouncing it out. He's not really setting anyone up. And so therefore, the problem with that is we don't have time for Jaden Blue to figure it out.
That's exactly it. You're right.
Okay. Right. So I'm listening on other shows and they're like, man, they kind of trying to give up on Jaden Blue. They're not trying to give him an opportunity. We don't have any damn time. We don't have any snaps for him to figure it out or to test it out. The hell y'all think this is, man? You're in a dogfight every game, and especially the way the defense is playing, your offense has to be.
Yeah, it's so funny how, and we'll talk about this, in the future. I do want to touch on it. is touches and targets, right?
Yeah.
If you look at just, mathematically, we break it down, season statistics, how many catches you need to get to 1,000, yard season, and how many touches you need to get. And when you start to look around, you're exactly right. With Blue, I'm sure Shotty looks at it, and when you in these dog fights, eventually your play sheet, again, it's got 130, 40 plays on them, and they instantly start to get, eliminated because you're like, man, after you see what you see from him, you're like, he can't run inside zone right now. He can't run, wide zone right now. And hey, next man up. Now you calling in, what's the kid's name? He's
Martin.
You're calling in that guy to try to get a little, spark. And you're right. It's just not. You don't have much time to get guys up to speed in the NFL.
At this point, I'm looking at Hunter Lipke, the fullback, because he runs downhill.
Yeah, right.
He's explosive and he's physical. So I know he's not going to have negative runs. Mm-hmm. I know he's going to be tough. I know he'll hang on to the football, and I know he'll get downhill. So, I would just assume go with some of him. And then there's a guy, Malik Davis, who's always bounced in and off, off and on the practice squad. Right. I think he used to play for Miami, but the thing about Malik is he's a professional running back. Okay, right. He's not figuring it out. The thing is the Cowboys have other highly rated guys and they don't put him on the squad. But when he gets in the game, preseason stuff, you can tell he knows exactly what to do. So that's kind of where it is at this point because we just don't have time for Jaden Blue back there. He let a kickoff go through the end zone, and it almost stayed in the end zone. Whereas if he just let it go. If it doesn't go out the back of the end zone, that's a live ball. Right. And so it's just like, get your head in the game here. This is not a scenario where you can kind of wing it and do what you want to do here. Every little thing that you do is very much under scrutiny. So anyway,
the game is sped up for him right now for sure.
It is, and he'll get it. I'm not against him on that. He'll get it, and maybe in the off season he'll look faster and stuff. But right now, Cowboys ain't in position to bring Blue along. What you say?
So you already fast forwarded to the off season.
Hey man, put his ass on ice. His name is Blue. Put him on ice, man. Hell. Got time for this, man. We had y'all fight every possession, man. We fighting over here deep. You know what I'm saying? Defense over there giving it up. You know what I'm saying? Like a freaking lady in the night giving it up, man. You know what I'm saying? We
you signed up, huh?
I see it done, man. I'm not against it, but it's just like, look, if you can't figure out what that package is that accentuates him, you gotta get on the field, man. We just don't have any room for that right now. So the coaching, okay? The coaching, okay?
Talk to me. I know you're frustrated. Talk to me.
Yeah, so listen. First is Eberflus. Now let's just start. Let's just start with the good first, okay? Shotty. Okay, Shotty was in his bag.
Yeah.
The majority of the game. He was in his bag the majority of the game. And he basically had Carolina on skates to the point where even if they stopped the run, even if we ran the ball and it didn't go anywhere and we were behind the sticks, he still knew how to dial up the right play to keep us moving and get the ball moving and stay on track and get the first down. Even on longer down and distances, that's just how good Dak is. He can get to a 2nd and 12 just as easy as he could have, a freaking, 3rd and 2, and so those are the things that I saw. Very explosive, able to stay on schedule, even with penalties and things like that. And, and negative running plays. And so that was great. That was great. You saw that. I think that the Panthers defense versus Shotty and their play calling, I thought they played to their strengths and said, look, man, we're good up front. Let's make sure we accentuate that. and we'll live with the results on the back end. And so I'll give that a push.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of the ball, okay, I mean, you tell me, um, Dave Canales, who controlled the Panthers offense against Eberflus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was tough to watch.
Right.
Yeah, it was tough to watch.
It is, and I, you know, I saw Shotty came to the defense of Flus today at the presser, literally saying, hey, I've been in his shoes before as a coordinator, where everybody told me pretty much how much I sucked and how much I couldn't do right. So, he showed some empathy there. He understands. If anybody knows what I call the work that Flus is putting in and everything that he's trying to instill, I doubt that it's a lack of work and attention to details with the installation of it. I really, and this is my perspective on it, that this style of defense, you have to have trust in the play caller, and you have to understand why he's calling that play, right?
Yeah, the philosophy.
And when it's not going your way, you have to be able to, because it's so, what I call, football is symbiotic, right? And dependent on the next man doing his job. When somebody steps out of line or somebody doesn't do their job, this defense breaks down because of, you got 22 eyes on the football and the zones and everything that's in place. When someone doesn't do their job, or someone doesn't get to their run fit, or someone doesn't hold their gap, it becomes a situation where guys start pointing the finger at the coach as opposed to pointing the finger at themselves and being accountable to what's happening on the field. We talk about Wilson and giving up that touchdown. Flus calls that defense to do what? Keep everything in front of you on third down. Why the hell are you sniffing out a dig route anyway? Right there, right? If anything, if you play it straight up, you're going to cover it, and we talked about the marriage of coverage to pass rush and timing and everything. My front four should be getting there, and
that's right,
and making him get rid of that ball. So I'm seeing a couple of things. One of it is a little bit of hero ball, right? Of guys trying to do a little too much. I think as that game progressed, I think they lost faith in his play calling and the ability of, is this a good defense versus what they're doing, right? Yeah. And there's a huge part of me, even when Lovey was calling that defense, to where we had great pieces, Urlacher, Briggs, Peanut Tillman, to name a few. We had, great front four, great pieces to run it. But there's moments in, you're playing against certain teams, and you're like, man, we just giving it up. We're not even the call that we have in place is built for them to get 2 or 3 yards. And that's the downside of that defense is you catch a lot, catch being you wait and let an offense dictate certain things. And I think this is the space you guys are coming from with Dan Quinn and the coordinator after Dan Quinn. I forgot who was there last year.
Mike Zimmer.
Yeah.
Mike Zimmer.
Two aggressive style defensive coordinators to Flus. And I think guys are just having a hard time adjusting to, and they just like us. They're like, man, these are the Panthers, man, not Tariq, like Dowd. Like, this can't be what we giving up right now. And you just send another, shell coverage kind of, what I call a little bit of a softer defense after they just gashed us. So long-winded way of saying you guys can't get to your bye week fast enough. 1, to get healthy on defense, and then 2, to do some self-scouting. And I think Flus in this NFC East with Scatterbo, with Barkley, and with the damn Commanders, those are 3 teams with running games where you got to take some chances. And you just saw us play the Commanders. How much adjusting and shifting and stunting and, things that we have to do just to kind of keep them in check with the run game. If you just line up in a shell against certain teams, it's rough. It's rough.
It is.
So I say all that to say, when you talk about coaching, and I've been hearing the whispers, Flus is coming off. It's not your typical coordinator situation. He's coming off of a really, 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 disappointing performance as a head coach with the Bears, and just between game management, between, attention to detail stuff. And then he flows right into, you guys, and we're seeing not as dramatic, but it's just like, it doesn't look like it's buttoned up. So I think his leash is a lot shorter than it normally would for a coordinator. So my expectation, like I said, is, Shotty coming out and verbally, it's almost like the verbal reaffirmation of death, right? Every time you hear a coach come out and support you, 2 weeks later, look at Callahan and,
vote of confidence.
The vote of confidence and, smile on your face and murder in your heart. Next thing you know, Flus is, packing his bags up in the trash bag and handing over his playbook to the coach, and he out of town. So I think internally, you guys and Jerry, he doesn't seem like he have a very long leash for this offense, where he's looking like, man, we got an offense that's built to compete in the NFC, and do some damage here. I don't think he's going to sit idle for too long with games like this. So
I'm not really in favor of like making a drastic move, like getting rid of Flus at this time either, because I look at it like this. It's almost like the analogy if you were swimming across a huge lake, right? And you were like, man, this lake is so large and I got to swim across it. And you're swimming and you're swimming and you're swimming and you're swimming and you're swimming. And you get out to the middle of the lake and be like, man, I can't do it, man. And you turn around and swim back.
Right.
Well, you turn around and swim back. You just swam the other half, but you did it to get back. You could have just keep swimming and you get to the other side. Because I think at some point the team will figure out the principles behind the defense and they will get healthier. And then if they do, then they can start to get downhill. The question is, can your team with the record not be buried by then? If they're still in the mix, and the offense and the special teams hold you down and keep you at 500, around 500, the game over 500, until you figure it out. Because if you do, you could get stuck on automatic and it's just like win. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what you're hoping for with this type of situation, that a couple of players come back, a couple of people start to figure this out, and all of a sudden you go from a team that is like giving up 30, 35 points to giving up, 17, 18, and it's going to be almost damn near impossible to beat this team if that's the case. So I'm not in favor of getting rid of Flus. I want these players to dig in, figure it out, get better at this, hopefully we get a little bit healthier and do so. But right now, it looks like Flus is got his ass handed to him this game. I don't think that was the full case, but I think what we're looking at is a failure to be willing to make some scheme adjustments to the type of personnel that you have right now until they get closer.
Yes, and that's critical, right? Because you get what we call, we talked about the beauty of systems. That's also the death of systems when you get too rigid in your approach, to where you're not putting your guys, when you do have some injuries and you do have some other faces step up. You're creating a defense, and I thought Belichick was amazing at it during his time in New England. You see other defensive and offensive, some of our greater coaches be able to adjust a little bit away from their scheme to adjust to the opponent. And again, with Carolina, the cover two, the ideology behind it doesn't make much sense, just because they're not throwing the ball all over the yard. And when you do give them a throw, you're giving them something easy in rhythm, and they just kind of moving the chain, right? So for them, you're right, Kate. Do we throw a run stunt to get them behind the chains? Do we send a blitz to, again, he's a tiny guy? Do we tip it and shut down
You put an extra defensive lineman on the field, with a bear front or something like that, just to throw them off,
just to dictate terms a little bit, and it allows
Yeah.
your defense. It's like a basketball player seeing that ball go through the hoop, man. You start
Yeah.
to see success, and you get back to your meat and potatoes and your bread and butter, and you start to execute that at a higher level. But when we look at, I got 3 game circle right now: the Bears, the Packers, and now this game. I hear exactly what you're saying as far as sticking by Fluke's side. He can't have too many of these versus the damn Panthers, right? And I have to go back and look at your schedule, and you know how tough it is. And we talk about how long the season is. It's mighty short too. We look up and hell, it's week 6.
Yeah.
And what you said before was, hey, we might run out of runway, and we got the plane, about to take off. And it feels, if we could just go a little bit faster, we can get off the runway. Hell, the runway is off a cliff, buddy. So either gonna you're gonna take it off, you're gonna crash it, or you're gonna get this thing up in the air. So Fluke's better figure it out quickly, because Jerry and those guys are looking at, again, Dak Prescott. You don't have many years like this offensively where you can dictate terms.
Yeah.
And all you need is it might be a little tweak, and mentally, I don't want to, make too much of a big deal about it, because I don't even know who's waiting in the wings. But, you sit around and you get to week 8 or week 9, and you're like, hell, if we averaging, if we got to score 30, 35 to win, how much worse can we do at defensive coordinator,
Yeah.
So in the end, I think the Cowboys do exactly what you say. Jerry has been also known to be, patient and loyal. So
loyal. Yeah.
I think that gives Fluke some a little bit of ease as he starts to put this thing together. But I think Shotty's also looking at it, and he's looking at your opponents that are coming up. And now you guys got an angry Commanders team coming in. And when I tell you their run game, I went in when I watched the cut ups and the things that they're doing. If Carolina confused you, or Carolina was making you take false steps, my God, man, their run game is even more complex. So you got to find a way to get this thing figured out in 6 days, because they're gonna come in extra pissed and a little bit healthier. I think they tried to use this Bears game and they almost did it. Hey, can we steal one and steal a little bit of time for some guys? Everybody on total shots next week. They might run out of needles in DC before the game. It's
a short week. It's a short week too. Yeah. And they got to travel, so this is tough. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if Sanborn comes back and he gets some snaps and stuff going on. But there's you're waiting. If you're the Cowboys, you're hoping that Kalen Carson gives you some, Javon Revell Jr. gives you some. Obviously, DeMarvion Overshown gives you a little bit of a boost, and you're really just trying to get incrementally a little bit tighter and better at everything, just to get a little bit better and turn that 27, 30 points that they scored into 21 points, right? And so that's what you're looking at. So definitely a lot there with the coaching. What did you see in this game as the series or the play that really turned the tide in this game? Where did you see this game kind of flipping? It's a 4-quarter game. It's nip and tuck. A lot of different things. There are inflection points and stuff. But what do you think was the play or the series where you just like, okay, this really was a killer for the Cowboys or a backbreaker for Carolina?
Man, I feel like I'm piling on Flus. I'm gonna give you another visual. Close your eyes. And hey man, pre-snap recognition and fourth, these guys are smart, right? And when we look at I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but you see 2 guys that's off at the snap at pre-snap. Flus here. We want to see these guys come up. Come on up.
Yeah.
It's 2:31.
What's the down and distance there?
4th and 3, 5.
4th and 3
with 2:31 left. And I
Okay.
think you guys had just pretty much exhausted, I think they might have had
Yeah.
one more timeout left, but effectively, if they get this first down,
Yeah.
this game is over,
Yeah.
with their kicker. He just hit a 55-yarder. So I think the players are feeling, coach, come on, let us make a play, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a video, so I can't run a video, but hell, we all know how it ends. Bryce Young gets the snap, and he immediately throws a quick, strike to Adam Thielen, right? Here in the slide.
Renfro.
Renfro here in the slide.
Yeah.
And, you try to get the backer to float over there and get underneath that, and he was a step too late. But because it was so short, it was a catch and throw, and the defense couldn't even get their hands up. And these are the type of situations with Flus where I say it made me have a damn, PTSD moment in the Eagles game.
Yeah.
Whereas game is on the line and he's doing what I call really, really, really great tells pre-snap as to what you're doing. Even if you bring these guys up and you bail out, at least you make Bryce Young hold that ball a tick second longer than he normally would. But here, I think he had predetermined where he was going with this football just by the alignment, because he's smart enough to know ain't no way in hell this guy can get to here fast enough to stop that play. And to make it worse, if we had the video running, you throw up, they bailed. Where are you bailing to?
Where you going?
Need to be up and coming. And when we talk about a situation of football, the worst thing you did was you died, without
slow death.
Death. You gave up the damn quick, shot here in the little slant route, whatever that was. I don't even know if it was just up the seam. And now you allow them to dictate the terms to where you don't even get the ball back, right?
Yeah.
If you at least play attacking style, even if they break it and run in the end zone, now you at least get a chance to get the ball back to your offense. So, my perspective on it is those type of moments. Like I said, I had the PTSD moment, and Philly, I had the PTSD moment against the Packers when there's opportunities, and we talked about you guys, get into those third and fourth down situations, and these let them go, Flus, let them make a play, and trust you guys to be able to, what I call have a fighting chance at knocking the ball out, tipping the ball, getting after the quarterback.
And live with the results, man.
And live with the results, because in all of those games that you lost, it feels, and this is where, as players, you like, man, coach ain't giving us the best chance to win. And that's exactly what happened in Chicago. The shit started to build up. And we looked at a lot of games and we're like, man, we're losing a lot of games, not because we bad. We're losing games because we're not being put in situations to win and be successful. And that can only last so long. And I think with his, with that being the elephant in the room, those players are smart. They calling Chicago guys. They talking and they like, yeah, man, Flus, he ain't setting you up like a damn Dan Quinn who's trusting you. He's not trusting you like some of these other coaches to go make a play. So that's my play that I thought turned the game. It's pretty, it wasn't very what I call hidden or anything. It was very overt. I thought in that type of game, it's the third iteration of him being a little too passive or a lot passive, when I feel like he should be aggressive.
So in that feedback there, from what I understand, the feedback was that Bland, and that Bland was a defensive back. So to add insult to injury, he's your best cover corner and he's your best slot corner.
Correct.
Okay, so you got your best slot corner, your best cover corner in a position he plays very well on, their third or fourth best option on offense is a receiver with Renfro. Renfro's a nice guy, good player, but he's coming off of a injury or something like that. So he wasn't even sure if he was going to play. And so you back off, and like you said, on top of that, you bail. If you come forward when the ball is snapped, at least you got a chance to maybe tackle him before he gets to the goal line, to the first down. If you come screaming up, maybe you meet him when the ball is there and you dislodge the ball. But more importantly, like you said, you had the Blues had the play set, so the linebacker was supposed to jump that alley,
Yeah.
that passing lane. But
Mm-hmm.
Murray was late getting there, but
That's a lot
he
of ground to
couldn't be.
cover.
It was too much ground to cover, and he couldn't get there because it was too easy of a pass
Correct.
for Bryce Young to get to. And Bryce Young's a short quarterback, and he's indecisive, and he'll dirt it. If you bring Bland up on
Mm-hmm.
that, then I can tell you that at least makes him hitch before he decides if he's going to give it up, and he may not even go to that play and may
Yeah.
have to do something else. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, call timeout
Yeah.
if you need to, because this is the play of the game. Hell, there ain't no need to save the timeout. If you stop this, you got 2.5 minutes left to go kick a field goal, win the game yourself. You don't need timeouts. You need to get off the field on 4th and 3
Mm-hmm.
and stop this. And having those guys 6 yards back is literally execution malpractice. And I don't know if it's on Bland. The rumor or the statement about Shardy was that Bland lost his whereabouts, and he thought that he was closer than what he was.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But if you're Flus and you're
Yeah.
Shoddy, call timeout and be like, dude, what are you doing?
Right. That's a great point. If you see this, and this is your running back, bumped out to get a read on the coverage, right? So you got your linebacker out here. You saw the Commanders do it today, and I'm playing Monday morning quarterback, which again I hate steals, but this is the guy to me that you drop, right? This end, because if you can get him in that space where over Renfro, then that makes sense to me because you take it away instantly, and then if Bryce tries to scramble, at least he can come up and try to make a play. When you got a guy as the middle linebacker trying to shoot across the field, it just wasn't enough time. It's not enough time, and with that distance, with Bland being that deep, I don't know how the hell you lose, situational awareness with your depth on 4th and 3 because you're looking, this is the play of the game. And again, a well-coached defense knows they only need 3 to get a first down.
Down and distance.
So it's frustrating.
Always got to know the down and distance.
It's inexcusable if that was the answer and the rationale. But I'm at a point now where I've seen, again, like I said, multiple iterations where there's breakdowns and critical situations to get you guys off the field. Against the Packers, we saw it. Against the Eagles, we saw it. And against the Bears, there was a few instances where, we snuck at least 2 touchdowns in where, you guys just guarding grass. Like, what the hell are we doing? So I'm not a fan of not going out on your shield when you got your best guy who can potentially, if anything, Renfro, I won't let you inside release. And I make Bryce Young throw a beautiful deep ball, and beat us that way because he's not fast, and live with the results. Right is my thought process. But again, we don't get paid the big bucks, but we get paid the big bucks to make the do the analysis. And I think that was a terrible call in that situation. So that's my play that I thought.
That's your play, and that by all accounts, most people will say, that is the play. I guess I'm so sick on the defense that I just I couldn't put it on them because I don't necessarily expect a lot from them. So for me, I chose to make the game turning possession or the game turning play is the possession that the Dallas Cowboys offense had prior to getting on defense before this end. So the backdrop is you kick the ball off to Detroit. I'm sorry, to Carolina, and you pin them deep. You basically get a 3 and out. Okay, and now Carolina has to kick from their end zone. You get a return, and then you have the ball 1st and 10 on your 46-yard line going in. You have a kicker who's a Steph Curry of field goal kickers. He's good from the logo, right? And so, you got that in your backdrop. You literally need one first down, and you're in field goal range. And this game, the defense has struggled all game, but the defense has risen up and made a stop, and you're getting the ball back at 27 apiece.
Right.
And all you have to do is go win this game right now with your offense. And if you're Dak Prescott, if you're this offense, if you're shoddy, and you walk into this game and said, I'm going to give you the ball at midfield with 8 minutes left in the game, and it's tied, and I need you to run and execute an offense to win this game, can you do it? And would you take it? And they would take it every single time. And to run a screenplay that went nowhere, lost 7 yards, and then try to run another play that was snuffed out and try to dirt it, and then have the running back catch it and lose another 5 yards. So now you're 12 yards behind. You're talking about 3rd and 22, because it was 3rd and 10 plus the 12 yards, 22. And you got to get 22 yards. They don't have a play in the playbook for that. And now you get it to Hunter Lipke. He gets you about 10, 12, 15 yards, and then you got to punt on 4th and 8, 4th and 9. And you're too far away to kick the field goal. And I sit there and I'm like, dude, what in the hell was that? What kind of series was that? Why not run just a dump off to Javonte Williams and get 5 or 6 yards to guarantee you that you're getting positive yardage and you're in field goal range.
Right.
And then you can try to dink and dunk and see if you can get the first down. But even at that point, if you get from the 46 to the other side and get to, the other 40 or 40 yard line, dude, that's all day for Brandon Aubrey to come in and kick the field goal.
Right.
And so to me, the offense runs this team. You have Dak Prescott, you got Shoddy, your offense has been working, and you didn't go to Pickens. He's eating all day. You didn't go to Pickens, and you chose to do something, off script with the screen, and it was snuffed out. And that was frustrating for me. And I know you can't blame the offense for losing the game. I'm not blaming the offense, but the point is this team is led by the offense.
Right.
That's the strength of this team. And your defense got you a stop. They got you a stop at 27 apiece, and all they asked you to do, and you didn't even have to drive the length of the field, and all you had to do was do that, and you couldn't get 1 yard.
Yeah, heavy as the head. Heavy as the head.
That's just an absolute killer, man. And I just so frustrating with that. Not to blame the offense, but the reality is that's how this team rises and falls for now, and that was frustrating.
Yeah, no, heavy as the head, right? And we talk about, and you look where the money is spent, right? And we go into, like you said, the responsibility of how you guys are going to be able to win here while you're going through this season, and your offense is the engine that makes this thing go. It's unfortunate. It feels like you said. It's hard to say that they lost the game or they played poorly. It's just one of those realities. Certain situations, I need you guys to come through, right? I need you guys to execute, and that was one of them. And I completely feel you. I remember that sequence very well. It just, I think sometimes you're looking at it and you don't even get lost in it's so quick, right? You go first down, second down, boom, and you're like, man, how the hell do we get off the field? I think it looked innocent enough at the time, but the way the game played out, it proved to be a huge stop for the Panthers. So I'll say this, when it comes to what you're saying here, and maybe this is the discussions that you guys are having internally around how do we win football games while trying to get this defense up to speed. You can put Jaden Blue on ice. You can't put down 11 guys on defense on ice, right? So
nope. Somebody got to go out there and do it.
Yeah, the pressure of the offense having to, be the what I call the engine. They have to be efficient. They can't make many mistakes. I think Shotty has the right temperament and the right personality to keep the locker room together to where that doesn't become an issue, right?
Yeah.
You start to get some dissension in the ranks, and you start to look, as these losses stack up and as these, what I call pivotal moments come into play, it's hard not to feel resentful because there's other things going on, and you're looking like, did he really give his all this week? I saw him leaving at 7:30 in the evening.
Yeah.
We sticking around to 11:30.
Yeah.
So Shotty, no way. I'm not insinuating that there's any danger of losing a locker room. I think it's just a reality of a conversation with the team holistically, right? We talk about hey, what's our style. I think it's time to come on out and have that conversation to let the defense know you guys can't lose it, right?
Yeah.
You guys got to do. We don't need you, taking chances and trying to win football games. We need you guys to be buttoned up because our offense is that talented. If you can get stops, our offense can, get us through. I say 70% of these games that we're gonna play, we can score enough points to beat teams. And now that conversation shifts, and now the offense knows, hey man, these games are on us, right?
Yeah.
If we don't show up, most likely we're not winning. It's a tough conversation to have. It's like, a reality check within, your skills, the strengths of your team in real time.
I've seen Kansas City do it.
And we've seen many teams do it. And you know how we fix it, defense? If you don't like that narrative and you don't like what's happening and what's being said about how we win a game, then hell, go get some stops, get some turnovers, and change the narrative. But until that happens, this is how we win football games. And you start coaching to that, right? Which is anybody out of position, anybody not lined up correctly, anybody who doesn't know down and distance on defense, you can't be on my field.
Yeah.
Those are the basics. We can't give up anything cheap, right? And that's the reality of where you are. Because if you gotten to this point where we're looking at, one series that, they didn't play their best and you're like, damn, man, that might have lost us a game. That tells me, that's the, the new reality of your scheme. I mean, the new reality of your team and schematically. It has to lean offense, and your defense has to be reeled in and coached in a different way to say, you guys, we're not going to even let you lose it with the play calls. We're not going to let you lose it with your alignments. We're not going to let you lose it with, anything that hurts our offense. And I think right now, the margin is so thin for your offense. I was looking, I'm like, damn, man, two possessions where you don't score. Now, Dallas fans like, damn, man, do we got to score 35 or 40 to win? That's a tough way to live in the NFL.
It is it's a tough way to make a living, no doubt about it. And that's why I feel bad to a certain extent making it. And it's, like I said, there's a reason is not to blame the defense, but to me, because the strength of the team is the offense, that is where I feel like, okay, that's been working. The defense giving it up, well, they were struggling all day. So expecting them to make a stop, is it really realistic? I mean, you hope so, but they got you a stop. They got you a stop and they got you the ball back in midfield. Special teams got you the ball in midfield. So that's all you can ask for. At that point, the game is tied, and you can go take the game and do so, and you just don't. And that's that's definitely disheartening here going forward. I know that it's not necessarily fair to have it that way, but defense forced the turnover. They forced the turnover, and they got to stop late, and they're asking you on offense to make it play. So, that wraps this game up. We'll let this one go. Cowboys ironically play the Washington Commanders next week, so they'll be at home.
I got some great intel on the Commanders if you want it. I got all the notes if you like.
So I had my scouts out there.
Yeah.
And here we are. So let's jump into this game here. The backdrop here was
keep talking. I just got to put this up here, man.
So we had the Washington Commanders at home. Clearly, home cooking was on the menu.
My God.
Um, and the Zebras are definitely working in the White House. So
Oh my goodness.
um, that was tough, but at the end of the day, this was a big, 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 big game for two teams who want to make the playoffs, want to have some success. Chicago's coming off a bye, 2-2. Commanders who are sitting at 3-3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 3-3, and no, I'm sorry, 3-2. They're sitting at 3-2, and they were trying to get a little bit closer to Philly and tie with them, who lost two
Right.
games in a row. So here you are, and man, what a game! You have some weather. You have the backdrop of Caleb
Mm-hmm.
Williams going back to his hometown. He's a DMV guy.
Right.
Um, and he went to high school there. They had his high school coach there,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the backdrop of Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, who both Heisman Trophy winners, and they went 1-2 in last year's draft. I mean, this is
Right.
just 6 degrees of separation. There's just so many storylines. All of that, and there was this little thing called a Hail Mary that happened last year when Noah Brown catches the ball, and
Hail
Stevens was out
Maryland.
eating
Yeah.
popcorn and snacks in the stands when this happened.
Oh
And
my
so
goodness.
he's on the team, and he's back for revenge. He was locked in tonight,
Wow.
and Noah Brown was out. But here you are with this game. So that's the backdrop here of a big, big game. Lots of teams, lots of people with revenge on their minds for this one.
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, what do you see in this game
Mm-hmm.
when you look at the um, Commanders' offense going up against Chicago's defense?
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Daniels, uh, Billy, Bill Krosky Merritt,
Mm-hmm.
okay, um, Debo in the house, no Scary Terry, no Noah Brown, okay. So that's what you got from Washington and their offense, and then you have Chicago coming off a bye, getting some
Yeah.
players back, getting healthy. Talk to me about what you saw with when you looked at Washington's offense based on what we were expecting and what actually happened.
Yeah. Honestly, it was all. It felt like a little bit of a trap game, right? Because they had so many guys that were out
Yeah,
on the edges at receiver. So, like you said, no Noah Brown and no Scary Terry. My first mindset was, I hope my guys don't relax, right? And couple that with the fact we had some guys returning. Gordon, our nickelback returned, and then TJ Edwards, our linebacker, got back in the lineup. And we were coming off a bye. So we're coming off 14 days actually 15 days of rest. They had a big game against the Chargers the week before, and the Chargers took a pound of flesh out of them. So it felt to me, schematically matching up that we could be a little bit more what I call up front and closer to that ball, because they didn't have many guys who should be able to get behind us and dictate the way Scary Terry can, right? Or Noah Brown, who's a pretty seasoned, pretty wily veteran out the slot. So my expectation was that we would, be able to at least be a lot more competitive with the passing game, and hopefully, they're averaging like 165 yards a damn game running the football, and we were giving up 156. So my concern was, if we could slow them down in the run game and not let, and I hate to say it, I don't want to make, again, I'm not, as we just talked about it, not let the Commanders do what Carolina did to you guys, which is, kind of just run the football and throw it,
control the
game and when they needed to. And, that's really what I saw. Their offense versus our defense. We've been opportunistic, right? Either we're giving up an 80-yard touchdown or we taking the damn ball away. No in between.
No in between. Yeah.
But I think Dennis Allen and his style and what we just spoke about, which is taking some moments to shoot your gun and be able to, what I say, take some calculated risks, whether it be through the run game or whether it be through, and the passing defense where you get after the quarterback a little bit. he sent a lot of heat tonight. We didn't get home very often. I think we had 2 sacks. Actually, we had 3 sacks, but they didn't feel monumental like they changed the game. It felt, more so where, we got them when we needed them. So I'm going to call our defense is timely and they're opportunistic, man. There's some moments where you watch them. And like I said, we got a rough deal from the refs today. There was a phantom kind of, face mask that extended the drive where they ended up getting a touchdown on. And, we had a kind of a questionable roughing the passer, I thought, where Brisker got pushed and blocked into, Daniel's legs a little bit.
Daniel's leg,
And then you had Sweat, who, he swiped and kind of hit him on the helmet a little bit, but it wasn't violent. And that extended the drive. So all in all, we had a couple of mistakes that I felt shouldn't have been called against us. But hey, nobody said it was going to be easy. And when we had to get a stop, we ended up getting a stop and getting off the field and getting that ball to 18 and back to Ben Johnson. So
awesome. Yeah, it was quite a game. And when I came away impressed with Chicago's defense, given what you were coming off of, the injuries and some of the people that you've lost over the year. I thought Dennis Allen had you guys playing extremely hard. Had you guys playing buttoned up. You were flying to the ball. You were, playing with force. Being very intentional as far as like just trying to get the ball knocked out, trying to create some havoc, and you definitely came with a lot of force and ready to play this game. And that's all you can ask for from the defense. It's like, look, man, don't worry about right or wrong, but make sure you come up with a violence, with a ferocity to try to stop the ball in that space. And so you met their offensive force with their defensive force, and I was very impressed with that. And I don't think Washington was ready for that. I think they came out thinking, we're just gonna kind of feel our way out, kind of get into our little groove and kind of see what we do. We cool for school. We got Jaden Daniels. He kind of hard to touch and he's quick and stuff. And so, they just kind of came in, and I look up and, Crosby Merritt is out there getting tattooed. People are coming off the line of scrimmage hard. You get a little penalty every once in a while, but people are physical at the point of attack, and really just running hard. And I was like, okay, the Bears mean business tonight. I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to sustain it, but they are not coming out here to be, kind of pawns, or chess pieces for Washington's offense to just do what they want to do. And that was the first thing I noticed with the defense, which was impressive to me, given your injuries and stuff like that. And then I know you're freshly coming off the bye and stuff, but people come off the bye flat also, and y'all just did not.
No, we were assignment sound, right? So you look at I think they tried to run a couple of little read options and a couple of little what I call getting Jaden Daniels out to the edge, and Jermaine Edmonds was right there to touch him up a little bit and do what he needed to do. You touched on something. Brisker got an interception on their first drive. Yeah. And Jaden Daniels came over and he's smiling. And again, and I don't know, maybe we'll say this for another show. I don't know where the Caleb hate has come from, right? To the point where Aikman was over, he was super negative on Caleb the whole game. At one point I looked, let me just look at my phone. He was 7-10 and had run in for a touchdown, and you would think he had lost the damn game already. Yeah. Jaden Daniels throws a pick. He's laden with the football, and Aikman is congratulating him for how his moxie and poise and how he keeps the team calm, because he's giggling about it on the sideline. And I'm like, what universe am I in to where things where they lean into Caleb and they lean into his body language, and somehow Daniels has become the chosen one, where he can have these types of he can have these types of moments. So I was already, I told you I was on the edge earlier, so I was annoyed by how cavalier Jaden Daniels looked on the sideline and how the team. I think they looked at this game and they didn't take us seriously to think we were worthy opponents of them, right?
They didn't take you seriously. You were a 5-point underdog. The Commanders beat you last year. You know, they went to the NFC Championship last year. You know, Jay Davis is too cool for school, and you know they got it right. Chicago got it wrong, and that was basically, you know, the edict going into it and stuff. And this is the thing that bothers me with the NFL is there's certain times when they just can't damn wait to crown a team. Let me tell you something. I don't care if anyone's listening, no one's watching, anyone's watching. The Washington Commanders have been garbage for decades.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. For a minute. Okay. Last year they were breaking records, and every time they broke a record, it was since 1991, since 1982, since 19. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything they did, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, you know, Dan Quinn is out here breaking George Allen's record. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And so I'm not hating on that. Well, I am hating, but it is what it is. I'm just the bottom line is you have one good year, a very good year, very successful year, a very surprising year. You know, unheralded and so forth. Okay, great. So now this team is a given. Like you did that, you can just mark them down. Is that how anyone is in the league? Like that's how it is? No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And so you go into the game and you could just tell that no one really took Chicago seriously until they looked up and y'all were punching the Commanders in their throat. And they were like, this is actually going to be a game here. You know, and then, you know, I looked up and the game kind of got, you know, back and forth and stuff to a point where the Commanders had climbed back in the game, but Chicago had kind of blown some opportunities.
Right.
We'll get into that. But the bottom line is it was kind of a situation where, well, you know what's going to happen here. Washington's going to come back and win this game. And we're going to talk about how Chicago blew their opportunities when we try to give them some credit for this, and then they couldn't handle the success and close it out. So there was never a time in this game where anyone felt like, okay, Chicago's got control of this game. Washington's going to have to fight to win it. It was always the other way around and stuff. And so when I looked at the Bears on offense, you were so sharp. You were crisp. You know, you always have that first 15, that first scripted set of plays, and you move
really
crisp, so sharp. It's so crisp. And so you move down and move and score. You know, you kick the field goal, and I'm like, okay, the Bears they're ready to go here, man. Like they're ready to fight and compete in it. And once again, it was kind of Washington, kind of with this mindset of, oh man, we just getting warmed up, man. We just playing with you right now. When we kick in, y'all got no shot. You know. And I don't know if you saw that, but that's what I saw as far as the overall tenor of the game.
No, I definitely saw that. And Ben Johnson actually brought that up and has made it a point of emphasis in the locker room, which is when he said, hey, when I was in Detroit, the word out on the Bears is if you keep it close, they'll find a way to lose it, right? Or if you put them in adverse situations, they'll quit. And that's a narrative that's only changed by games like today, by games 2 weeks ago against the Raiders. And eventually you start putting up games like that on film, and teams start to understand that, to your point, this ain't, you know, the same teams that have been coached and led by what I call some Eberflus didn't do a great job of having us situationally aware. I thought Matt Nagy, that wasn't his strength at certain instances, and we can go down the line of, you know, the last 15, 20 years as far as history. Trestman around, you know, losing these close games. I'll tell you this, you better, I almost said a terrible word, but people better start listening. Our coaching staff, Al Harris, Eric Bieniemy, Ben Johnson,
Yep.
uh, Dennis Allen. These are no
Yep.
nonsense coaches who
Yep.
are creating mental toughness. And the scary part about what we're doing is we have it on. If our offense is probably clicking at like 60% right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting out a warning to the league and everybody who, all these fingernail painting jokes. You know who the toughest SOB was today on the field mentally?
Yep.
You know who wasn't laughing, and who wasn't, not taking this thing and not seeing the importance of it. 18. He was 17 to 29 for 252. And if Zacchaeus catches that damn drag route in the fourth quarter, he might still be running.
My God, what a beautiful pass, an excellent play call, and it was wonderful. I was like, man, I think that might have been the game right there. I thought that was going to be, that was going to be curtains for y'all. So
yeah, I thought that was a walk-off, but in the end, you're right. I think they, I don't know how they came out with that mindset, being so depleted, offensively on the edges there, wide receiver, and their defense is already opportunistic. So the reality is, I think they came in very cavalier. They came in and hey, we got a home game, and we expect to beat these guys, and they looked up and they like, we in a dogfight. And we gave them exactly what they were looking for.
Oh yeah, and dogfight is definitely what you had. You looked up and wasn't it 13-0 before we looked up, right?
Yeah, we jumped up 13-0, and quick and in a hurry, and had complete control of the game. Really, outside of what I felt were some questionable calls. There was an offensive pass interference on Colston Loveland that I'm not sure. Wasn't blatant, and then you throw in just what I call some touchy, calls in the game that just impacted. I don't want to give too much away, but hell, we had a touchdown, and they looked and said our left tackle Theo Benedict. That's the only time they said his name all day, which is great because he was filling in for Braxton Jones. That was his first start. He played amazing, and we throw a touchdown, and they're saying he's, not lined up correctly, and they got it on a damn steal shot, and we can't tell. Like, I know we made some mistakes in that game, but also I felt like there was some critical, penalties and calls that kind of helped the Commanders get back into the game. So.
And the thing about those calls, okay, and we had the graphic up there with the referee. Where's that picture? Give me that damn picture again. Let me see.
I would love to. Hold on, let me get it back up here.
Well, there he is. There he is. You ain't on the take or nothing, are you?
Hey.
Jeez. My gosh, man. But you know what, though? When I look at the way that game went with the calls and stuff, it kind of felt like the refs kind of had a mindset of, well, this is what Chicago is. So, of course, they had a pass interference on fourth down when they should be getting off the field. Of course, they threw a touchdown and the tackle wasn't all the way up on the line of scrimmage, but no one else could see it. And so, it kind of felt like they were like expecting those plays to come. But what I will give you guys so much credit for the Bears tonight is, man, y'all fought through all of that. Like you were like, you snubbed your nose at all of it and said, on to the next play. It is what it is. We'll move forward. We'll find another way to turn this game and stay on track. And yeah, you're making mistakes, but guess what? The game isn't over. We're still in it. And you showed a ton of moxie when it came down to that. I was very impressed with that because it felt like everyone was just sitting around waiting for that shoe to drop and for Washington to take. And then once again, if you ask me in the last 20 years, what franchise has been more successful, it's Chicago.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? It's Chicago. Chicago's been to the Super Bowl. Chicago's been to the NFC Championship game. They've had a couple of little blips where they had a good year. Everything inconsistent and not one year in between that and stuff like that. So you know, that's frustrating because you can't, you know, having 1 year and then being bad for 8 doesn't help you much.
Right.
But the Commanders haven't done a thing for decades, and they had a great year last year called Shooting Star, and all of a sudden they're like the stalwart. They're like,
It,
oh yeah,
it,
when you know what you got with the Commanders, man, that's a W. You know, and I just was really impressed with that. Um, Real quick,
yeah.
the kickers.
Yeah.
Okay, the
Yeah.
kickers. You got Washington's kicker, and you have Chicago's kicker, Moody, who used to be a
Yeah.
San Francisco 49er.
Who couldn't get
Um,
right? He couldn't get right. San Francisco let him go because
did he have the yips?
he had the yips. He was missing bunnies and Cairo Santos. Remember the Minnesota game where
Yeah,
he had a big missed kick and then he couldn't
yeah,
kick the ball out of the end zone. So we ended up
yeah.
picking him up. I think that game was Sunday night. We picked him up Monday morning off waiver or Tuesday morning off waivers once he got cut.
And
So we brought
Santos has a quad injury also, right? So he's
He
out.
had a quad.
Yeah. So you got this background here. You got Washington's kicker who seems to be pretty solid.
Mhm.
And he missed what a 50,
It was like 52, 53.
52, 53 yarder, right?
Yeah.
Hit the crossbar.
Mm-hmm.
He missed a 52, 53 yarder, and then Moody missed one where he literally had a chance to take the lead.
Yeah.
I think that was 22-24, and he had a chance to take the lead, and he got blocked.
Yeah, it came out really low.
It came out super, super low, but that wasn't as far. That wasn't as far as a kick, and
It was like
and it was
yards.
yeah, that was he should have easily had some height, some lift on that one, and it was too low. So the kicking game was definitely a big deal here. I also saw that McCaffrey. I don't know how many damn kids they got, but they're all over the place.
Amazing special teams. He's great in this. I think they ranked first in kickoff returns and punt returns. Their special
The
teams.
hidden yards, man. The hidden yards. McCaffrey, he's really, really good in that space. So you have him. So I kind of give the advantage there to Washington when it comes down to the kicking game and so forth. And so that definitely played a role when it came down to it. But at the end of the day, it was Moody who came in and went down and made the game winner and pulled it out. So the special teams was definitely an important part of this game.
It really was, and you touched on a great point, right? This is NFL is so cruel, man, and I don't know who writing these damn scripts, but I don't even know how Cairo Santos got hurt, but he ends up, tweaking something against the Raiders with his quad. And
Quad, yeah.
Now we, out of all the kickers for us to go get, we go get a damn temperamental kicker and bring him into the fold, and he's been working behind the scenes the last couple of, last month or so, and probably the worst conditions that we've seen all year as an outfit. And we put him in a situation where he's on the road and he's kicking in a pretty, what I call, windy, rainy game. And I was impressed with Moody, man. I think, like I said, outside of that one kick that was just super low, every kick had full conviction, and he kicked it. He hit it with confidence. When I saw the way Ben was calling the game towards the end on that final drive, it let me know he saw something in practice where he felt good of putting the ball in his hands. So that gave me confidence, or putting it on his foot. That gave me confidence. Right.
Yeah.
I think if he was a lot more aggressive in the play calling, that would have let me know, he doesn't trust this guy. But
he got to score.
He's a Michigan kid. He's been around the bright lights before. I think and kickers go through this, right? We see it all the time. I see Eddie Pinheiro kicking for San Francisco, who was a former Bear, after I hate to even say that dude's name because I despise him. Cody Parkey. If I ever catch you, Cody, you know what's happening.
Double doink.
Yeah, you got to bail me out for the second or third. I don't know how many times you done bail me out, but this will be the third.
We all know. We all know what we all know what his password is on Microsoft. We already know what it is.
Exactly. And Eddie Pinheiro steps up, and he has a okay, kind of stint with us. And now in San Francisco, the kid can't miss. I'm watching him hit 50-yarders with consistency. So I say all that to say, if you look around the league, there's probably 3 or 4 guys who bounced around the league and finally kind of settled in to being really good kickers. And Moody might be one of those guys where things got a little left in San Francisco. He lost his confidence. He got a chance to get out of that environment, get with a new coach, get with a new team, and kind of work on his craft a little bit. And that actually hardens kickers. People don't understand that. When you go through a down period like that and you come out on the other side, it actually makes you a little bit what I call more calloused when it comes to dealing with the emotion of a game, because you've already been through the lowest of lows. So there's only one way to go but up, right? So I thought he played really well. And he probably got a game ball because Cairo was actually, I think he was kicking up until the point of, trying to give it a go up until 3 hours before the game. So I commend Moody for staying ready. I commend him for, kicking in the what I call high stakes game and coming through when we needed him.
Well said. Well said. Good job, Jake Moody. Good job. You've established yourself back into the league, and you might stick around for a little bit longer. So
he definitely put it on tape to where I think he's extended his career in the NFL at least another year.
Get back in there.
Get back in there with somebody who needs
get another team if Santo will come back. So Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Queensberry.
Yes. I thought and sorry, I'm jumping right in, man. I thought Cliff called a hell of a game for what he was working with. And we talked about how decisive Jaden Daniels is. And, outside of what I call a couple of plays. And again, if we just flip teams and had, what happened with the Commanders and versus what happened with the Bears, if Caleb had thrown an interception and giggled about it, if Caleb had, dropped a damn game-sealing snap and fumbled it away, the narrative again, the Commanders' love is out of this world. So I thought Cliff, his game calling, he schemed so many guys open. I think from my perspective, he made Jaden's life a little easier in that way. He had a couple of plays where you had McCaffrey was wide open. That was a beautiful play call, and he had a few others where I thought he really put some creative things out on the field. So at the end of the day, for me, when I look at Cliff, I thought Jaden was 19 to 26 for 211, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and Bill. 17 carries, 61 yards, 3.6, not his finest day. But
he fumbled too.
And he fumbled too. And you saw Jaden give you about 52 yards and scramble yards for rushing. So they ended up 4 yards a pop, which is, that's winning football in that way. And from my perspective, I thought Cliff, did his thing. He was fired up after that touchdown. He's talking a little crap, and yelling and screaming. So he's also taking, that's another layer. This is a guy who came into Hallis Hall and wanted the job, and we told him no, and gave the job to Matt Eberflus. So there's that layer. And you got a quarterback, Jaden Daniels, who we never took a look at. We never brought him in Hallis Hall, period. So those two guys already had chips on their shoulder playing us. But, I thought he called a pretty good game. Outside of, Debo was wide open on the interception, just a bad ball, I thought, a little late. And you can't blame the fumbles on Cliff. I thought he did well today calling the game.
You can't. Crosby Merritt got benched for a while for that fumble too. He's been a bit of a fumbler.
Charges, right?
As a running back, he kind of has a reckless style. He's a slasher, he's a cutter, and he runs with good vision. I like his style to a certain extent because I'm not saying I'm a pro running back or anything, but I know my certain style, the way I played, and that it fits with that. Read the blocks, cut against that. Being able to slash, and turn up, and then and do it with explosiveness. So he has a lot of traits of a very good running back. But when you get him in traffic, he turns it over. He has a propensity to do so, and y'all got him. You got him. So that was a great coaching point to say, hey, look, this guy coughs it up to attack the ball and get it out of his hands. How did you think Ben Johnson did going up against Dan Quinn and his vaunted defense? You got Armstrong over there. You got Payne. You got Lattimore. You got Bobby Hall of Fame Wagner. So they got some names over there on defense.
They got some names.
And I think once again it was kind of like, okay, when's Caleb going to screw this up? And start turning the ball over and making a whole bunch of reckless plays and stuff like that. You can see some of that's been coached out of him and stuff. But how did you think that played out?
I thought, and again, I'm fiercely, loyal to Caleb. I saw maybe two what I call just you can't do those type plays. He had one interception down. One play that should have been an interception. I think Sandstrell dropped it in the red zone, and he had another one that was a little bit of an iffy ball. But outside of that, I thought he played composed. He played under control. He put the ball in what I call tight spaces and gave Aikman killed him. He threw a ball to Rome Odunze on a deep shot, and Aikman was like. Aikman kind of jumped him a little bit, and I'm like, I get it, but also, you don't draft a goddamn number 9 overall and not, give him a shot at some of those plays, right? So,
I was looking at the strength of his arm, the way he snapped that ball off. I'm like, bro, do you know how many air yards that is? This guy can sling it, bro.
He can sling it.
He has a nice arm.
It's windy, it's raining, so we're setting the stage, and he flipped it probably about 55, 60 yards, just flicked his wrist. And
with an arc.
And it gave Rome a chance to catch it.
It went right to him. They had to defend it. Troy Aikman made it seem like it was a terrible pass, and the guys were there, and to a certain. But if they don't high point that, Rome's gonna catch that ball.
Yeah, I thought it was I call it a safe shot, right?
He tracked it.
And to me, again, I thought Caleb was very decisive. He took one bad sack where he could have thrown it away, and I think it was a Louisville came up and hit him in the face.
Oh, Frankie.
No fumbles. Only took, like I said, he took 3 sacks. They weren't backbreakers. And I thought, again, we talked about against that Raiders game, when the money's on the line, every time we needed to drive, Caleb did what he's supposed to do. He got us. And again, Aikman downplayed the throw to Swift. And I was just like, wow, man, I thought that was a beautiful, quick, decisive read. He got it to him in space. He led him to where he can catch it and keep running. And Swift ends up turning what I call a pretty innocent, throw to the flats. He takes it and goes, in the damn end zone. So for 55 yards. So big shout out to Caleb. I know that game meant a lot to him. He came home. He's emotional about, his high school coaches in the stands. He probably had a bunch of other family in the stands. And you could tell it meant something to him. He wanted to get it right. And he feels, and I know Caleb and I know Ben, they're like, man, we are so close to being lights out on offense, right? Because today guess what came when you asked me how well did Ben do? Amazing. Look at our run game. That was the one thing that was struggling. Today we
Mm-hmm.
averaged 5.4 yards a rush. Swift
Beautiful.
had 14 carries for 108. And on the game-winning
Beautiful.
drive, everybody wants the offense coordinator to do what? Dial up these beautiful passing plays. What does Ben do? He dialed up some beautiful run plays, right? Went to the tendencies and ended up getting us a chip shot field goal to win the game, and threw in a couple of plays just to, make sure that, we got in a space to where they didn't have any time left either. Milked the clock.
Yep.
And got us up out of there. So game management, I know you didn't love the go for it on. We went for it on 4th down again, and we didn't get it. So instead of going up, 16-7, we leave some money on the table there, and then we went for 2. I thought a little bit prematurely. So we left a little bit of money on the table there. But that's his style. He's aggressive, but in the end, I feel like I was super happy with his decision making, and then throwing Theo Benedict in at left tackle. Amazing. I think that kind of shored up that left side and allowed us to not have as much leakage off Caleb's backside.
Yeah, there wasn't too much pressure on Caleb. He had to escape the pocket a few times, so he had some people in his face in that situation. But overall, he had enough time to kind of get what he had to do. Well, once again, that's a byproduct of Ben Johnson calling a running game and keeping Washington off balance. I think Washington is a great defense. I think they can be exploited, but you got to have the right type of pieces to do so.
Yeah.
And so that was what I saw. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of going forward like that under those circumstances. And I wasn't too big on going for the 2-point play. But even though it was still like 10, 11 minutes left in the game. So that's why you just don't know. These points end up having a way of kind of working out the math and stuff. When you don't take the points and you don't get it, it seems like it ends to kind of work against you most times anyway, which is another big deal that y'all fought through that. So, definitely a great matchup there with the two coaches and so forth. So I thought Dennis Allen did well. We talked about him. So the coaching staff, I think the battle with the coaches was excellent. I think it was very, very much dependable. I think both teams played to their strengths to a certain extent, and there was opportunity there for both teams, and so it kind of played itself out. This is just a big game for Chicago to get a third win in a row, and so. Clearly, with these types of games, there's an inflection point. When you look at this game, what did you see as the play or the series that really turned this game and really kind of flipped it back to the Bears' favor or put them back in position to be able to try to pull this out?
I thought it was the play when Caleb hit Swift. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but I think that's my play. We were in a situation where we needed something to happen, and again, you look at the scenario where we're down and things weren't pretty, and Caleb, I think that was a 3rd down connection if I remember correctly. So my thoughts is when you talk about leadership and timeliness, right? We just talked about the Cowboys, how that was a moment, a point of inflection where you felt like they needed to step up and get you some points. I think we needed a little bit of confidence. We were reeling a little bit. And that was a play where Caleb grew up and threw the play clock. I thought it might have hit 0, but somehow he gets it out to Swift. And, Swift makes one guy miss and he houses it. I thought it was a quick, decisive read, and it got us right back in the game and closed that gap because at that point, they had scored damn near 23 or something, 24 points unanswered almost, really, except for that field goal. So we needed a little something to get us in the right direction, and that was it. So I thought that was the turning point. What about you? What do you think was the play?
You know, I definitely had a big asterisk or star by that play. And the reason I had that play is because, you had gone down and the Commanders had taken control of the game and they had I think they had a lead. It was 16 to I can't remember what the score was now at this point, but I know
Mm-hmm.
that you all had an opportunity to go up, and you missed the field goal.
Yeah, they blocked
Okay,
the kick.
the field goal block, the block kick. So you had an opportunity to try to take the lead later in the game. But the bottom line is Washington had looked like they had kind of flipped this game. So that was a
Mm-hmm.
big deal. And you needed to score. And I think the other important thing about it is because of the time, you
Yeah,
needed to score and give yourself enough time to get more possessions. It really
yeah.
wasn't no room for a long, sustained, methodical drive and
Mm-hmm.
stuff that was going to eat the clock and then basically put us, so all Washington had to do was get a few first downs, and then leak the game out or move it to field goal range, and then they can win it. So you
Right.
needed to score quick, and that was a big play to me. Now, I am going to say that the biggest play outside of that, because I was definitely a big fan of the Swift touchdown based on the timing of the game and where it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it's starting to rain. You're in Washington.
Yeah.
They got the Hogs. They like to play in this type of weather. The
Mm-hmm.
East Coast team, not that Chicago is obviously
Right.
not, you know what I'm saying? Is that
Yeah,
so?
I
It's not. It's
understand.
not that. It's not that Chicago is a soft team, but this is Washington. It's
That's a solid play.
loud.
Mm-hmm.
Their style of play, the game is getting, in their favor. They've come back. The crowd is loud. You're trying to close it out, and Daniels gets a snap, fumbles the snap, and then tries to hot pocket it and hand it off to the running back and just do it over and he
Yeah.
he lost control of it and the way Nashawn Wright of all people, who was literally a scapegoat all game. I mean, Nashawn was out that thing getting torched.
Yeah.
Okay, and
He Johnny on the
and
spot, huh?
and somehow, some way, he's a long athlete. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
somehow he stretched his go-go gadget ass arms out there and got
Man.
on that fumble. And I was like, dude. And once again, you got that little rotten smile on Jaden Daniels' face walking off the field. And it's
Smirking.
one of those things where it's like, yo, too cool for school. I
Yeah.
got this thing and so forth and so on. And it's like, dude, no, you're not, because you lost that fumble. The weather is bad. You're not sure-handed. You're trying to move too fast for yourself, and you
Mm-hmm.
blew it. And now
That
you're
was
trying to pretend like no big deal and so forth.
yeah.
You know what I
They
mean?
yeah, they have won so many close games that
My gosh.
and this is the thing about situations that you fall into, right? Caleb fell into a situation where last year he had to play perfect football, and even when he played, not perfect, but he did enough to get a win. He watches a Hail Mary fly 70 yards in the air and beat him, and he collapsing and pissed off. And Jaden has just been lucky enough to, I'm not going to disparage him. I think he's just been lucky enough, and the NFL hasn't got its pound of flesh from him to humble him to where this is his first, one of his first instances where the things, everything didn't go right, even though he didn't play his best football. So, you know how that goes. The first couple of weeks is ha ha ha. They go into Dallas and get beat. And then you look up in 3 weeks, and now all of the, they set you, they build you up and put you on this pedestal. He got a long way to fall. I'll put it that way. And his fall from grace, I'm not wishing it on him. I just think we talked about it months ago. How many games can you continue to win close and nothing ever goes wrong? The ball doesn't bounce the ball continues to bounce your way. Eventually, the ball bounces the other team's way and they beat you, right? So this is their, I want to say, third or fourth close game of the season. And I want to say, I think you're going to see more of these instances where, as long they think they can play close and it's funny and it's cute and they're going to find a way to win. Nah, man, that ain't the case. You had another fumble early in the game that you just dropped, and it just so happened to bounce back up to you, and you're living right. And, nobody talks about that. Then you threw a touchdown on that play. And, this is the one where the football guy smiled on us. He looked down. I got to get my picture with the Pope, man. I took in Vegas, and a couple of my prayers got heard. And Sean Wright goes from, potentially me thinking about, I'm about to J.D. this guy. I'm about to put him on ice too. Like, hey man, you're costing us too many football games. And now this week, you know what he's saying in the meeting rooms? Y'all thinking about benching me? He got
this game.
Yeah, he go in the DB room. He got the interception against Minnesota on loop, and he got the fumble recovery on loop. Man, it's just playing over and over in the building.
Over and over again. Look, his theme song is y'all must have forgot. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, we can't be stopped. He got Roy Jones, man, doing
it. He got Roy Jones. You know what I'm saying? Y'all must have forgot. You know what I'm saying? So
he in the DB room. How dare y'all give up on me, right? Y'all know I'm a gamer. But
I'm just getting started, So
I'm just getting started.
I thought that was a fitting type of game. You got a guy who's totally been the GOAT the entire game. But just been bad positions all game, and somehow that's what I'm talking about right there. Mm-hmm. When you're playing a team and it seems like everything's going their way, all the calls are going their way. You get the field goal block, that's going their way. Everything kind of turns. He fumbles, it comes right back to him. It's going their way. Everything's kind of going their way. It's not going their way. You got to change their way. You got to force their way to change. It's not going to happen on its own. You got to create it.
And that's critical. And, again, I'm giving huge kudos to Ben Johnson changing this team's psyche, changing the culture, and creating what I call making our own destiny, where before I felt like we were oftentimes kind of on the short end of some of these situations. I think Ben Johnson's aggressiveness, that's the give and take, right? As soon as I get that text when you say, man, you're going for 2, you think you should go for 2, and you think you should have took the points. I think this is the balance to it, which is it's a crazy expectation of us being able to convert in those situations. Now, doesn't mean we can't get bit by it. I think it just puts, again, how we talked about, hey, what's expected of you, right? When we get in 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, one thing I will say, ain't no damn, last year with Eberflus, we run the kicker on and run the kicker back off, and Caleb screaming, man, let me stay out here. Yeah. And the crowd go to screaming, now everybody, it's a damn fire drill to get to be able to go for it. Now, we lining up, the plays in, and the expectation is, hey, we're good enough to go get a yard. My initial thought to it is, I hope it doesn't come up to bite us in a critical situation in a playoff game, or a situation where I feel like, hey, we should be stacking some points. But I think for where we are as a franchise and as an organization, this is a shift that we really need. So, I love my props. I think revenge is a dish. Best served cold, and they broke our heart last year, and sticking with the food thing, we need a sponsor, and we don't have one. Hey, so we got some frozen broccoli for the Commanders.
Is that Bird's Eye?
Bird's Eye.
What brand is that?
Hey man, Bird's Eye. You can make it in 2 minutes? You steam it.
Let me tell you something, man.
Throw you some seasoning.
I'm a big fan of old Clarence Bird's Eye, who invented the frozen food. What an innovator, man! He basically invented the freezer, and him and Marjorie Post joined together and created the whole frozen food industry, man. So look, I'm all for having the Commanders put on ice tonight.
Put
I
on
hope they
ice.
stay on ice, but they're coming to Arlington next week. So we're gonna see if we can't give them a double dip here and hand it to them. I saw some things with the Commanders offense that scared me. Number one, the decisiveness of Jaden Daniels. Man, when he decides that he's under pressure and that he's going to take off, he does it with 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 conviction, with intention, with intensity, and with explosiveness, man. And that has to be corralled. I give you guys a lot of credit for just hustling and fighting, and that's really what it is because he'll chew up yards. If you don't go get him and get him down, he will chew up yards.
Yeah, the offense is rooted in what I call the principles of option football, where they've coached the decision making in you, and you just kind of execute like live and in action. Some of those things look I would call unscripted. One play that jumps out to mind is with Sweat, and I think he came out of that bootleg and he saw Swift. The only way you react like that is if you expect that type of scenario, right?
Yeah.
And he's intelligent.
Where he planted his foot and turned upfield.
Yeah. So he's coming out on a naked boot, and Sweat is right there, kind of breathing down his neck a little bit, and he put his foot in the ground because he expected him. And I think that's what you get from that offense. They're very well coached. And you saw that even with them having, some key players out, they still were able to matriculate and put up, get the ball down the field and put up 24 points. And I think Jaden's a talented kid, man. He can spin it.
Yeah.
And you throw in Cliff. He throws in a couple of nice little wrinkles where he schemes some guys wide open. So I'm a little bit afraid. I'll be honest. I'm a little bit afraid for Flus this week. I don't know. You start
with the game plans.
Yeah. But also, if you go back, if you want some good film, go watching the game from last year. Flus matched up with Cliff, and he held his own. So the question is, they know each other well. I think Flus, he knows how to contain it and corral it. The question is, can he slow this thing down?
Personnel.
Can he get the personnel to execute what he wants to do, and can you guys stay disciplined enough to play sound assignment football? Because they have a ton of eye candy. They have a ton of what I call false tails and reads that they give you, and they throw a couple of wrinkles in there as well. So, and they're coming off a loss. They're 3-3. It's a divisional game for you guys. So, I gave you a nice present. I promised it to you. I always deliver. The division, NFC East, is tough. We softened them up a little bit.
It's wide open. It's wide open.
Wide open. We softened them up a little bit for you. You got six days to figure it out and try to bury these dudes, man. I'm sick of the narrative behind the Commanders, honestly. I have a strong dislike for them. Just because of how they've been, crowned and the way they've been treated here. And also, like I said, the comparisons between Caleb and Jaden. We came right on after the game, so I haven't heard much of the, talk about, what they said about Jaden's performance. But I swear I know if we flipped the roles and said, the outcome was Caleb Williams fumbling away, a game-stealing drive to put the game out of reach. And laughing and giggling about it coming off the field. It'll have been all over X. It'll have been all over TikTok. It'll have been all over the news media. And I'm in the camp now where my expectation for the Bears, we got the Saints. We need to take care of business versus the Saints. And then I got my eye. I'm not looking past the Saints, but then we got the Ravens, who I probably have Lamar.
See what their health situation is.
Healthier situation. So we'll have another statement game to where we can, do some things to really put ourselves in the driver's seat, come out of this thing 5-2, and make a run to try to position ourselves for the second, half of the season and try to be a playoff eligible team and just get on the bus, man. So that's where I'm at. We go ahead and close this thing out, man. It's been a great day.
Yeah, let's close it out, man. It's been a real one. We'll be back later on this week to do a preview of next week's big games. We have the Cowboys hosting these aforementioned Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
So that'll be a huge game, an interdivision game, a rivalry game. Cowboys and Indians, whatever you want to call it, used to be Cowboys and Indians, but the Commanders and the Cowboys go a long ways back, and so there's no love lost there. A lot of backdrops. We'll definitely get into that. Looking forward to that. And then Chicago, you have the Saints.
Yeah, we got the Saints, and they fought tooth and nail, man. They played the Patriots at home and ended up taking a tough loss. So Spencer Rattler and they got a few.
Kellen Moore has been playing a little bit better though, so.
They're more buttoned up, and this is again, how do we handle success now? That's two. I want to say no. What's that? Yeah, that's three wins in a row now. For us, and we got a chance to make some hay. The Cincinnati, we got Cincinnati and the Saints, and these are games that we got to find a way to check those boxes and win. So I'm very curious as to how we,
respond.
We respond, because this is a pretty big win. It was an emotional win, and but we all
have a letdown.
Hey, nobody cares. And the next, and we after tonight, we forget about it and we get right back on the ground again to try to go beat New Orleans, right? So, great week of football.
Yes, sir.
I'm over the moon, man. That's why you get a guy like Ben Johnson. That's why you draft a Caleb Williams to put us in situations like this where I feel like we got this thing going in the right direction. It's not fully turned around yet, but we're starting to see some of the fruits of the labor of the hard coaching and some of the toughness and the grit that we're going to need to be a competitive football team come December and January.
Well, we will be here one way or another to cover it.
Yeah.
Whether it goes in that direction or not, we will certainly be here, and we will give you great content for those out here listening. Please remember to like, share, subscribe this. If you like this content, we will continue to cover the NFL, the Chicago Bears. We will continue to cover the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys. We will talk about other NFL teams. And if you guys want to hear about Clarence Birdseye, you can go to the History Channel, the food that made America. You can go look at episode 2, and they will break that down, and you will hear all about Clarence Birdseye. So
I gave them some healthy little broccoli. They need a little broccoli. They don't need nothing. They don't need no sugary sweets, man. They need something healthy to get well.
Give them a little some broccoli there. So, we'll call it a night. So once again, for Harry, I am Mo. This is the H&M Sports Academy. You all have a great night, and we will see you soon. Good night.